Hello and welcome to Codeavour Training Bootcamp. My name is Vivek from Codeavour team, and this is the live training session in which we are going to explore the wonders of Python programming in Pictoblocks. So I hope all of you have registered for the Innovation Fest Codeavour 5.0 International. If not, do check out the registration video linked below in the description box. And if you have registered successfully, give me a thumbs up in the chat box. So perfect. So let's get started then. In today's session, we are going to cover introduction to Python programming in Pictoblocks. We are going to delve into the world of Python programming, discover its capabilities, and we will also make a fun, engaging activity in the Python interface of the Pictoblocks application. So just to let you know, Python interface of Pictoblocks application is only available in the desktop version. It is not available in the mobile application. So make sure you are using a PC or a laptop to complete up the activities. So let's take a look at today's outcomes or the topics that we will be covering in today's session. So first is introduction to Python programming, basics of Python programming. Second is why Python, like why Python is so famous and why everyone is running after Python. Then third, we will understand the functionalities of Pictoblocks Python interface with the help of an engaging, fun activity. So yeah, so let's get started. I hope you all are excited, just like I am. And I hope you have learned a lot in the block coding sessions that we streamed before the Python ones. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed those sessions. And let's begin with this one then. Coming to what is Python? So that is a question that comes up a lot in everyone's mind. Like, what exactly is Python? And, why Python is so famous? So Python is nothing. It's just a programming language that is used to give instructions to the computer. So let's say if I am saying something and if I'm instructing you something, let's say if I'm telling you, hey, raise your hands. Okay, raise your hand sideways or raise your hand up, raise your like in front. And so you will follow my commands. If I say, hey, raise your left hand, raise your right hand, you will follow the commands. Might, you might get some of the commands a little mismatched or might not be correctly followed by you. But indeed, you will be following all of the commands that I will say. Because our means of communication is language. And which language we are communicating in? English. Same way, we need a means of communication that is a language between the computer and human beings. And that particular language or those particular set of languages are known as programming languages. And Python is been one of them. So Python is just a programming language which is used for general purpose. It is high level, it is interpreted, it is easy to read, it is very simple, it is versatile. Easy to read means you will understand when we will code in Python. It's very simple. The code is very short, crisp, and simple. You will be able to understand the code while you are writing the code. And of course, Pictoblocks is there to help you out with your coding as well. So because Pictoblocks is your coding buddy, it will be able to help you out while programming in the Python interface as well as in the block coding. So there are a lot of applications that are made by Python programming. I would say web applications are also there in which Python is being used, or software application, web application, then your operating systems, and a lot of wide range of applications are there in which Python is being used. So let me know which kind of games or which kind of applications you use, which is used, which is made by Python, or which includes a little bit of Python coding or Python programming in it. So let me know in the chat box. All right. The next paragraph says that Python popularly has surged in recent years, making it one of the most widely used programming languages in the world. Because Python became famous in these few years only. Earlier, Python was there, but it was not as famous as it is right now. And the only reason is that we will discuss later on in this video, later on in this session. And that is basically there are like 4 points that I have noted down or jotted down in the PPT that we are going to look after some time. And those points will help you out to understand that why exactly Python is famous, why exactly Python became famous in these recent years. So yeah, and why it became the most widely used programming language in the world. Right. First and the foremost reason it is mentioned over here, that is, it is an excellent choice for both beginners and experienced developers due to its simplicity, readability, and broad applicability, or broad, how you can use it in various applications. So that is something I would say summarizes why Python is popular and why we should use Python, or why we opt for Python. Because it is very simple, it is very easy to understand. You can be a beginner or you can be an experienced developer, and you will be able to use Python very easily. So it's like, coding buddies friendly. It's like that. So I think you might have understood what exactly Python is. It is just high-level interpreted journal purpose programming language. And the programming language is a type of language which is used to give instructions to the computer. And Python is known for its readability, simplicity, broad applicability, and yeah, therefore it is more versatile in nature. Therefore, it is very popular amongst coders, beginners, or experienced programmers. So yeah, in short, I gave you a quick summary for that. Okay, next let's talk about Python in Pictoblocks. So earlier, we had only block-based coding in Pictoblocks application, but now we have the best Python interface or Python IDE in Pictoblocks application. It's not just, you can code vanilla Python also in this. With that, you can also code with the functions, the scratch functions, the Pictoblocks functions of various sprites, and various other extensions are also there. So you can use those functions to enhance your Python programming. So that is something which makes Python interface in Pictoblocks very unique. There are more things that we will be exploring in the upcoming sessions and later on in this session as well. So let me take you a quick tour on the Pictoblocks Python interface. So this is what it will look like once you open Pictoblocks application. This is what will come up. This is the block-based coding interface. Now all you have to do is click on here, and then you can switch to Python 1. Simply click here and then click on go ahead, and then you will be switched to Python coding interface. So this is what the Python coding interface looks like. Now let me give you a breakthrough what exactly the Python coding interface is, and the various things that are there in the Python coding interface. So yeah. So this is over here. This over here is the coding area. This over here. This over here is your coding area. This is where you will be coding, you will be writing your code. Execution of the code, that means when you run the code, it either can be seen in the terminal, it depends on your code, or it can be seen on the stage also. So if you are using, let's say, sprite functions, which has to perform on the stage, then of course the execution will be visible on the stage only. And let's say if you're using vanilla Python or some of the like print function, or just for example like print function or other vanilla Python functions, and those kind of things will be visible on the terminal. So this is where you will see your output. Then again, same as the block coding, you have the sprite control panel. right over here. Then you can choose your sprite from this particular button, then choose your backdrop or upload your backdrop. And then over here, you have your backdrop control panel. Then right over here is your where you will see your project file. So let's say if I load one more sprite, one more project file of that particular sprite will be added right over here. So let's say if I just click on this, then just load in John. So you will see John's project file is added right over here. So, that is what makes it very unique, because that is what makes the Python interface more unique. You will be able to understand that it is very easy to use, it is very versatile, it is very nice, and you will be happy to use it. Then with that, over here, you will find all the modules and libraries. Then you can, of course, just click on this particular button, which will help you to add extension or install packages. So that is what it will help you out. Okay, with that, let's take a look at some other things. I'm not going to go in the detail. I'm just going to give you an overview. So we have run and run all button over here. So run is going to run a particular selected project file. So let's say right now I've selected john.py. So anything that I will command or any code that I will write in this particular chosen project file. And if I click on run, only this project file, the chosen or the selected project file will be executed. And the execution can be seen either on stage or on the terminal, depends on your code. But let's say if I have coded in John as well as the Toby.py, that means Toby sprite. So I've coded in both the sprites. Then how can I run both the code files or both the project files, even if I've just selected one? So all you need to do is then click on run all. So this is what the difference between run and run all button is. Run will run a particular project file or a selected project file, and run all will be executing all of the project files that are there in the project. All right. Then stop button, of course, will stop the execution of the code. That is what this will do. Then you have a debugger over here. This will help you to debug your code. Then you have a REPL mode. So this is what the basic overview looks like. Of course, once you will go through other sessions of Python programming, then you will be able to understand how exactly these things work. This is just an overview of everything. So yeah, I hope you were able to understand the interface. And once you will have a good hands-on on this interface, then you will be able to grasp what each of the things are doing over here. All right, so let's move on. All right. So now let's come to variables. So I hope you understood all about the Python interface. As I mentioned, as in the upcoming session, you will be able to understand a little more in depth. Till now, I just gave a quick overview. So now let's talk about variables. So variables are just like boxes or just like bowls or anything that can store something. So right over here, I have my pen stand, which is storing all of my pens. Right, it's a bowl. It is in this, I can store various pens I have, or I can store other things that I want to. Right. So variables are just like containers or boxes that holds onto a particular data. Right. They can store information like numbers, they can store text, or they can store any other data as well. So I'm just going to give you a quick example of a variable that how you can make a variable or how you can declare a variable in Python programming in Pictoblocks application. So let's take a look onto that. So right over here, I am back on the Pictoblocks screen. All I have to do is increase the size of my coding area. Now, let's just type var equals to 25, or let's say any other, like 55, right? So I have just declared a variable. This is my variable. So my name of the variable is var, and value of the sorry variable is 55. So of course, name can be anything, like it can be A, it can be B, it can be capital A. It depends on you, right? So I'm just giving you a quick example. So this is what it looks like right now. The name is changed to A. So you can just type. You can just type A. So yeah, this is and then this particular here with a hashtag. Whenever you write hashtag and after that, that green line or green text is called as comment in Python programming. All right. Okay. So now let's look at different data types that are there in Python programming. So there are integers, float, number point, float point, or string and boolean. So basically, data types in Python are like, how you would, or what type of data you would like to store. You don't have to mention like this is the type of data that I want to store in this particular variable. In other programming languages, you have to mention like this is int equals to, then this is float equals to, then this is string equals to, like that, or char equals to. But in Python programming, you do not need to type, or you do not need to tell the computer what exactly the data type of a particular variable that you have declared is. Like in this case, I just declared a variable which is an integer type variable, but I did not mention it is an integer type variable because as I mentioned, Python is very easy, and Python is interpreted. It is a general purpose programming language. It is famous due to its simplicity. And this is how the simplicity is reflected in Python programming. I don't need to write a lot of things. Computer will understand itself that this particular variable named as A is holding an integer value. So that means the data type of this variable is integer. So let's say if I just write down the quick example, let's say name equals to Vivek. So over here, name is equal to Vivek. And then I didn't mention that the name variable is a string. It itself will understand that, yeah, this holds some characters that are joined together. That means it is a string. So this is how, Python is very simple and easy to use. So then this is just a string. Then we can have like float. So let's say I want to have my percentage to be stored. So percentage equals to 98.7. Yeah, percentage. Then let's say this is like floating point, or you can also call it as float. Then integer, I have already given you example. I will just maybe copy it, and number equals to 55. Then over here, I will write as integer. Then name, string, float, integer, then boolean. So let's say I have a particular question. In that question, you can only have one option, or like two options are there, and you can only choose one option. Either it can be false or it can be true. And I want to store that answer in a variable name as ANS, which is a short term of answer, and I can type in true, and that will be considered as boolean. So this is just a quick example of how exactly data types in Python works. So I can just delete this file, right clicking either by clicking, okay, so I can delete this file by clicking on the dustbin icon right over here. Let's click on that and delete it. So yeah, now the John file is deleted. Now I'm back to the default file, which is the Toby file. So, okay. Now let's move forward. Okay, data types is done. Now let's come to why Python. That is a question that came up in our mind in the starting, and I told you that we will discuss that later in this session. So a lot of you might be wondering that why exactly Python? Why Python is so famous? Why everyone is running after Python, and why Python is one of the most widely used programming language? There are four top most reasons that I have jotted down in this PPT, as you can see it on your screen. The first reason is readability. Python syntax or Python program is very easy to read or very easy to understand. That is our first point. Very simple. I hope you understood that. Second is versatility, used across diverse fields from web development to AI. It is very diverse. I can use Python programming in web development, in software application, is in OS. I can use it in AI application, ML application. I can use it in a web application or any like a mobile application. I can use it in diverse fields. I can use it in multiple fields. So therefore, it is versatile. That is the second point covered. Now coming to third point of why Python is famous. Third point says extensive libraries. That means pre-written code for various tasks is already there in libraries. All you have to do is install those libraries and enhance your Python code. So let's say if I want a task A to be done. So this is a task A, I want it to be done. Either I can opt to write a whole code, or I can, simply install some pre-written code for that particular task of task A. So there, that covers the third reason, that it has extensive or large amount of libraries from which you can choose pre-written code for various tasks. Now coming to the fourth last point, active community. As everyone is using Python, it is easier for you to understand what are the errors occurring in your code. What are the possibilities of errors occurring in your code? So let's say if like active community means, let's say if there is a hot topic, or let's say a topic in vogue or in trend going around, right? So let's say if you, your friend, or everyone in your school is participating in Codeavour. So that is the active community of Codeavour within your school. You will be able to understand, oh, this is the latest update of Codeavour. That means the introduction to Python programming session is live on YouTube now. So, because of the active community, you will be able to understand that what are the errors or what are the possible outcomes of your code, or how exactly you can enhance your code. So this is the fourth topmost reason why Python is famous. And the fourth is active community. So these are the four reasons: readability, versatility, extensive libraries, and fourth one being active community. So that covers why Python is famous. All right. Let's move to the activity. As I mentioned in the starting of the session, we will be understanding some functionalities of Pictoblocks Python interface with the help of an activity, and with the help of an activity, and that activity is Toby walking animation. I want my Toby sprite to walk. Give us a walking animation, like give us a ramp walk. That is something that I want. So this is the complete code, and this is what the output we want to look like. Okay, so now let's switch to the Pictoblocks application. This is the Pictoblocks application. We already get the Toby sprite by default, and all of the Toby sprite functions are loaded in the sprite variable over here. So that is something that I wanted to let you know. All right. After this, now let's start with first thing. So whenever you start programming, first of all, you need to understand what exactly you want to do. Right. Second thing is you start coding it. Third, you start trying it or testing it or debugging it. So let's first understand what we want to do. With the output that was there on your screen just few seconds ago, you were able to understand that I want the Toby sprite to walk across the stage from one point to another point. And whenever it hits the edge, that means this point over here, I want it to bounce back. That is what I want. So that means first thing that we need to accomplish is setting up the stage. First, I have to set up the environment. So let's say if you are shooting a movie or you are making any website or any application, anything. First, you sort out the background and everything. That is something that you do, right? So let's say if you are doing some decorations of a party. So you first sort out the decorations part. So same way we have to first here sort out the decoration. First, we have to set the environment. So now let's set the environment. For setting the environment, we of course need to choose a backdrop. So let's go in the backdrop library and choose any backdrop that you like. Of course, you can choose anyone. In the output, we were having blue sky. So let's just choose blue sky. Put our Toby in the middle, like this, on top of the little area, the brown area or the muddy area. Okay, the ground. So after this, I would say most our stage is set, because I don't think if you want to add more elements, of course you can add more elements, but I think our stage right now is set. Now comes the part where I have to start the coding process. That means I have to think what exactly I want to do. I want to move Toby sprite, right? So move Toby sprite means I have to use the move function, right? Move function of sprite library. So I can just write sprite dot move 10, and let's hit on the run button. So you can see sprite move. Sprite move slightly because the X position earlier was 11. Now the X position is 21. That depends. So that is something that we want to use. That means move function is something that we want to use. That is clear to us. So that means that is clear to us. Give me a thumbs up in the chat box if that is clear to you, right? After this, we wanted to bounce on the edge, switch between costumes, right? That is something that we wanted to do. Now, let's just understand again, of course. I want it to, first of all, continue moving. I want it to forever move. Remember forever loop that we used in the block coding. In some of the codes, you must have used forever block. Forever loop is basically a loop in which whatever you will code or whatever you will put in the forever loop, inside the forever loop, it will be executed. It will run until you stop it by clicking on the stop button. That is something that you have used in the block coding sessions with your favorite Rupa map. So now let's, of course, we cannot use forever block here, right? Because we don't have blocks, and we just cannot type forever here because that will just give us error because we do not have any forever loop in our Python programming. So then what should we do? So for this case, we will use while, and we will give it a Boolean true value, which is 1, either type true or type 1. Make sure indentation is there. As you can see, there is space between the starting point and where the S is starting from, indentation, right? It should be there. So if indentation is not there, it will give you error, or it will not run the code. So that is something that you have to make sure it is there. So now this coming back on the while loop, what this will do, this is creating a forever loop. Why? While loop says check the condition, and over here condition is 1. Condition is 1, and 1 means, in programming language, 1 means true, 0 means false. So either you can write true or you can write false. So while 1, I want the sprite to move 10 steps forward. While 1 creates a forever loop. So forever, I want the sprite to move 10 steps. Now let's hit on the run button. You will be able to see that it is moving forever, right? That is something. And then of course, when it will bump into the edge, it cannot go beyond, then it will stop over there. But this is something that I wanted to do. So now you can see the execution started and now it bumped into the edge and it is not able to go more further. So this is something that I don't want. I don't want my Toby sprite to be stuck here. I don't want that. What I want it to bounce back. Now, did you see I click on the stop button to stop the code? Why? Because we are using while one, which is aka forever loop. So now I want it to bounce back. Remember in the first session of block-based coding, you did Toby animation in block-based coding. We are doing the same thing in Python-based coding. So in that particular code, you must have used bounce on edge. If on edge bounce, that is the block name. So over here, we have the sprite function, which says bounce on edge. So once again, sprite dot bounce on edge. Now let's click, first of all, let's grab the Toby sprite and place it anywhere you want. Like over here, I think is okay. Now let's click on run. And now you'll be able to see that it is going to bounce back when it's on the edge. So as you can see, it is running and it bounces back. But one more thing, it is bouncing back, but isn't it rotating itself? Like, isn't it, flipping itself? That is something that we don't want. That is something that we don't want. So what do we want to do? We want to set the rotation size style, basically, right? Correct. So now what we have to do, we have to set the rotation style to left and right. That is something that we did in the block-based coding as well. So just write sprite dot, sorry, you have to stop the code first. Rotation style to left, right. That is something that we want to do, right? Okay, now let's hit on the run button again and let's see, is it going to work or not? Hopefully it will work. Let's say perfect. It is working perfectly fine. Job done. One of the job is done now. So I can say my 50% of the code is done till now. 50%, or you can say 45% to be more accurate. So that means 50 or 45 to 50% of the code part is done. Most major code part is done. Now what I want to do, I'm stopping the execution. What I wanted to do. So if you go in costumes over here, you have two costumes. Toby walking one, Toby walking two. One, two, one, two. So if I switch between these two very fast, you will be able to see it is creating a walking animation. See on the stage. One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. It is creating the walking animation. And that is something that we want to achieve. So what we will do, we will just, use next costume function, not block, function. We will delete the other costume. Let's just delete other costumes. Let's just have 1 and 2 costume. Go back in Python. And in the while loop only, in the while loop part only, I wanted to switch to next costume. And how you can do that? Sprite dot next costume. So this is basically, sorry, this is what we wanted to do. Right. Okay. Now let's click on run. So now you will be able to see some walking animation. Now there is one more catch in this program. I know what that catch is, but I want you to tell me in the comment section. It is walking way too fast. Either I can, decrease the movement that might help a little bit. But what should I do? Weight block. Do you remember the weight block when you were coding in block-based coding? Do you remember the weight block? That is what I want here. I want some waiting time. So we cannot just add wait block over here. So what do you need to do? So you need to import time. You need to import time, which will import time class functions. That is just basically what it will do. And what particular function we are going to use? We are going to use same in the while loop, time dot sleep for 0.1 seconds. That is what I wanted to do, or 1 second. That is what, or you can just type 1 if you want it to, if you want to increase the type. But this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to wait for a few seconds, right? If you want, you can increase it 0.5 and then click on run. You can set the time, you can set the move, the steps according to your likings, or according to what you think and how you think Toby should work. So that is something that you can modify, no problem in that. So I guess 0.5 is a little too much. Let's go with 2. Stop the code and run again. Now let's see how it's going to work. It looks much better. In my eyes, it looks perfect. Now you can go in the full screen mode and see what the output looks like. Perfect. I believe it is the Toby walking animation that we were aiming for. So yeah. So yeah, you can just click on stop, and you can then over here on top type in Toby walking animation in bracket type py, and then hit on this. Select the folder. If you have created a folder, then you can select the folder, or you can just save it on your desktop as well. So project is now saved. So this code is now saved. Now let's head back to the PPT. So this is done. We have achieved this. So one part that I have skipped that you might have noticed or might not, that is after the import time, there is one particular line which says sprite go to X and Y. So this is just to make or to set up the stage, or just to make sprite go at a particular position whenever we rerun or run the code. So let's say if I run the code and if I stop the code over here, the sprite is going to be over here only at a particular point. And if I run the code, it will go back to 0 minus 100. Okay, that is something like in between only of the stage. 0 over here is the value of X coordinate, and Y over here is the value of, minus 100 is the value of Y coordinates over here. So I wanted to, whenever I start or run the program or rerun the program, I wanted to go to the X coordinate to 0 and Y coordinate to minus 100. That is the particular area or particular coordinates I wanted to go whenever I start or restart my program. So this is something that you can skip also if you want to. If not, then you can add it. That is up to you. So that was it about this session. And I hope you have learned something new, something important that will help you up in the Codeavour 5.0 International. Now, all you have to do, if you have any queries, right now, you can of course put it in the chat box. And if after the session, if you have any queries, you can join the WhatsApp group or the Telegram group by the QR codes or the link in the description box below. Okay, and then you can ask your queries over there. And of course, for latest updates also, I will recommend you joining these groups, WhatsApp or Telegram or both of them. So join these groups for latest updates and to get your queries resolved. And also you can mail us at codeavour@thestempedia.com to directly reach out to us. So that is something that you can do. There are 3 ways you can reach out to us: WhatsApp group, Telegram group, or the email ID. Just that is something that I've mentioned. Everything, every detail will be there in the description box below. And once again, if you haven't registered for Codeavour 5.2 International, make sure you do, because it is one of the biggest innovation fest. So what are you waiting for? Go down again in the description box, check out the registration process video and register yourself. So thank you so much for tuning in for this session. I hope you have enjoyed and you have learned something new. If you have any queries, you can put your queries in the chat box. We will be resolving it. If not, then you can also put any queries which are there after the session in the WhatsApp or the Telegram group. Thank you so much for tuning in this session. I will see you in the next session. Bye bye.